When we see another driver cut someone off in traffic, we conclude they are an aggressive, inconsiderate person. When we cut someone off, we conclude it was because we were in a hurry and did not see them. This asymmetry, seeing others' behavior as reflecting their character while seeing our own behavior as a response to circumstances, is one of the most pervasive and consequential biases in social perception. Attribution theory explains how and why. Fritz Heider, the founder of attribution theory, proposed that humans are naive scientists who constantly seek to explain behavior by attributing it to causes. The primary dimension of attribution is internal versus external. Internal or dispositional attributions explain behavior by reference to the actor's stable characteristics, personality, ability, attitudes. External or situational attributions explain behavior by reference to environmental factors, social pressure, luck, task difficulty. This internal-external dimension captures the fundamental question of whether the person or the situation is responsible for an outcome. Harold Kelly's covariation model proposes that we make attributions by examining three types of information. Consensus asks whether other people behave the same way in the same situation. If everyone laughs at this comedian, the laughter is attributed to the comedian, external. Distinctiveness asks whether this person behaves differently in other situations. If they only laugh at this comedian and no others, the laughter is attributed to the comedian. Consistency asks whether the person always behaves this way in this situation. If they always laugh at this comedian, the laughter is attributed consistently. The fundamental attribution error, labeled by Lee Ross in 1977, is the systematic tendency to over-attribute others' behavior to internal dispositions while under-attributing to situational factors. In the classic demonstration, participants read an essay arguing for a particular political position and were told the essay author was assigned that position. They had no choice. Despite knowing about the situational constraint, participants still inferred that the essay reflected the author's true beliefs. The correspondence bias, inferring that behavior corresponds to character, operates automatically and powerfully even when situational factors are explicitly available. The actor-observer asymmetry captures the systematic difference between how we explain our own behavior and others' behavior. As actors, we have rich awareness of the situational pressures, competing demands, and contextual factors that influenced our behavior, so we tend to cite these in explaining what we did. As observers, we see only the actor's behavior. The situation is less salient from our perspective, so we tend to cite the actor's character. This perceptual asymmetry contributes to relationship conflicts, where each party attributes their own problematic behavior to circumstances and the others to character. The self-serving bias is the tendency to make attributions that protect and enhance self-esteem, attributing successes to internal factors like ability and effort, while attributing failures to external factors like bad luck or unfair circumstances. Students who do well on an exam credit their intelligence and preparation. Those who do poorly blame the test's difficulty or the teacher's unclear instruction. The self-serving bias is adaptive in moderation. It supports self-esteem and resilience, but extreme versions are associated with interpersonal conflict and the inability to learn from failure. Thomas Pettigrew's ultimate attribution error extends the fundamental attribution error to intergroup contexts. When an outgroup member fails, people tend to attribute it to the group's stable, dispositional characteristics. They are lazy, unintelligent, or untrustworthy. When an in-group member fails, people tend to attribute it to situational factors, bad luck, temporary circumstances, exceptional difficulty. Conversely, outgroup success is attributed to luck or special advantage, while in-group success is attributed to ability and character. This asymmetric attribution pattern contributes to the maintenance of prejudice and negative stereotypes about outgroups. Attribution retraining programs change the attributions that students and clients make for outcomes in ways that improve motivation and reduce depression. Students taught to attribute academic failure to controllable, unstable causes, insufficient effort, poor study strategies, rather than to uncontrollable, stable factors like ability or intelligence show greater persistence and improved performance. This is the opposite of the learned helplessness attributional pattern. Cognitive therapy for depression includes explicit work on changing internal, stable, global attributions for failures to more specific, unstable, and external attributions. Melvin Lerner's just world hypothesis proposes that people have a motivated need to believe that the world is just, and that people get what they deserve and deserve what they get. This belief is psychologically comforting because it implies that if you behave well, you will be safe and protected from bad outcomes. However, when bad things happen to innocent people, the just world belief is threatened, and the motivated resolution is often to attribute the bad outcome to the victim's own character or behavior. Victim blaming in rape, poverty, illness, and accident follows from just world reasoning. Attribution theory reveals that our explanations for behavior are not objective observations, but motivated, systematically biased interpretations shaped by our perspective as actor or observer, our need to maintain self-esteem, and our need to believe the world is predictable and just. Recognizing these biases does not eliminate them, but it does create the possibility of pausing before judgment and asking whether the situational explanation deserves more weight.